Okay, so I think we can begin. So, hello everyone, good evening. Welcome to this third session of Android Study Jams. And yeah, we are meeting after a long time, so I hope you got time to make some significant progress, and I hope you're enjoying it. So, today we'll be covering two rather more advanced topics. So, feel free to post your doubts in the chat box, and if you have any doubts from the previous pathways as well, I think you can ask them right now. So this will be our last session as well. So make sure that you clear all your doubts. So I think Sneha, now you can take over and start.
Huh. So, hello everyone, and welcome to the third and the final session of Android Study Jams. So, continuing the first and second sessions, today we will be extending our learning of Android development and learn more about the layouts in Android Studio. So, before proceeding, I hope everyone has completed all the four pathways of Unit 1 and earned your badges. So, don't forget to share those badges on your LinkedIn profile and on other social media platforms. So, let's have a quick recap of what we did in the last session. So we learned about the various views and about the layout editor in Android Studio. And then we learned how to make a very simple birthday card app using the different views given in the layout editor. Then we learned how to import and add these images to the layout editor to customize the app. And then we learned about the concepts of classes and objects in Kotlin and how to create instances for different classes. And finally, we learned how to make a dice roller app with a class dice and that has a role functionality. We implemented this role functionality using the random number generator. So this was what we did in the last session. So in the session 3 of Android Study Jams, we'll be learning the pathways 5 and 6. 5 is about how to get the user input into your app and process that information. And pathway 6 is how to display scrollable list in your app. So in this session, we'll be learning how to make this app that you can see on the screen. It's a tip calculator app. So this app basically asks the user to input the cost of service, and according to the rating they give, they have to pay a tip. If it's amazing, they have to give 20 percentage of the total cost as tip, and if it's good, 18 percentage, and if it's okay, 15 percentage. And you can see a calculate button, and the app should basically output the value of the total amount the user has to pay uh, on the screen. This is the basic functionality of the tip calculator app. So we'll be learning how to make this app today. So before learning how to make the tip calculator app, let's learn a few concepts. So there's a concept called as class hierarchy or inheritance in Kotlin. So class hierarchy or inheritance is the ability of classes to inherit properties and functions from the parent classes. So, like you can see here on the screen, suppose we create a class animal and we create two classes wild and domestic. So, there are many properties in classes wild and domestic that will be common to the class animal. So, it will be better instead of writing the code again, we can have some functionality to access the properties that are common in both of them. So, that is what is the basic concept behind inheritance. So its ability of the classes to inherit or extract and use the properties and functions of their parent class. Similarly, if we create a subclass called tiger, then there'll be some properties that will be common to the wild class and some properties that are just exclusive to the tiger class. So instead of writing the code, redundant code again, we can simply use the functionality of inheritance to access the properties of the wild class. So there are some terms here. The class animal will be called the parent class, the base class, or the superclass. And any class which derives its properties and functions will be called as the child class or the derived class or the subclass. So this is the basic definition of inheritance and classes. So how is this class hierarchy implemented in Kotlin? So in Android Studio, for example, there is a class called as view that represents a rectangular area on the screen and is responsible for drawing and event handling. So the text view here can be considered as a subclass of view. which means that TextView inherits all the properties and functionality from the view class, plus it adds some specific logic for displaying text to the user. Taking a step further, you have the edit text and the button classes as well. They are the children of the text view class. So they also inherit all the properties of the view as well as the text view class. Plus, they add their own specific logic as well. So edit text adds its own functionality of being able to edit the text on the screen. So instead of copying and pasting all the logic from view and text view classes into the edit text class, you can just describe edit text to be a subclass of the text view class, and it can automatically inherit all the properties of the text view class. So here the parent class or superclass is view, and its child class or subclass is text view, which itself is a parent class and the superclass of edit text and button. And edit text and button are the subclasses and children of text view. So, so instead of writing the code again of text view in edit text, we can focus on specifically on what makes that UI component different from the other UI components. So that is advantage of inheritance in Kotlin. So there's another concept called as abstract class. So an abstract class is a class that cannot be instantiated because it is not fully implemented. You can think of it as a sketch. A sketch basically incorporates the ideas and plans for something, but you don't have enough information to build it. For example, if you create a class called as vegetable, uh, if you do not have any particular properties of vegetable as such, you can give the keyword abstract before the class name. Abstract will denote that abstract will denote that there are no proper properties for those classes as such, and only in the subclasses I can define those properties. And you cannot create an instance of the abstract parent class. So when you declare abstract functions and variables, it is like a promise that you will give them values and implementations later in their subclasses. You just define them as being abstract and you give the actual values in the subclasses. For a variable, it means that any subclass of that abstract class needs to have a particular value. And for a function, it means that it needs to have that implementation inside the subclass. So it will be clear to you when I show you in the Kotlin playground. So let's go to the Kotlin playground. So here I've written down a code for, so this is the inheritance concept that we want to implement in Kotlin. So here we have a class called as dwelling. Dwelling is basically any habitable place which we want as a parent class. And we want to derive our two classes, square cabin and round hut. Square cabin and round hut both are types of dwellings, but they have some properties that are different. Square cabin will have a square floor and square shaped floor, and round hut will have a circle shaped floor. And round hut in turn will have a subclass called as round tower. Round tower will have multiple floors. So how do we implement this class subclasses in Kotlin? I'll be showing you that. So first we define the dwelling class, that is our topmost parent class, and you can notice that I've implemented the keyword abstract here, because what happens in abstract classes is that we do not give any value in the abstract class because we do not have any specific value for a dwelling. So whenever we create a subclass, we'll be writing the value for those variables. So instead of writing class dwelling, you just add a keyword abstract before it. And you can see that I have given the parameter residence as the argument to the dwelling class, and there's a private keyword. Private basically is used to denote that these variables are accessible only inside this class and cannot be accessed outside this class. So that is quantified. Then you have the variables building material and capacity. Notice that I've added the abstract keyword here also, because I do not know yet what my building material is, because the dwelling can be of any type. So I add an abstract to tell Kotlin that I will be specifying these values later in the subclasses. So I create a building material of type string and capacity of type int. Both of them are abstract. And I create a function has room, which is a Boolean function. And it will compare if the number of residents which we input is less than capacity or not. If it is less than capacity, it will return true. Otherwise, it will return false. That's the function has room. And this is a basic parent class. And I'm not writing anything inside the function main right now. And if you run it, it will not show anything. It will just compile the program. So this is how you create a basic parent class. Now we need to create subclasses for this parent. So here we have the dwelling class. We created this dwelling class. Now we have to create square cabin and round hut classes, subclasses. So uh, till here we created the parent class. Now we'll be creating the subclass. So the subclass is square cabin, and to inherit from the parent class, you have to use colon followed by the class you want to inherit from. So I want to inherit from dwelling class, so I mention colon dwelling. And inside square cabin, also I need some arguments. So I pass the arguments as residence, which is of type int. And the same resident argument should be passed to dwelling as well, because dwelling also takes some arguments here. So I create my subclass, and notice that inside the subclass, I have given the values of building material and capacity. Earlier, I told Kotlin that by using abstract, I will be mentioning the values in the subclasses. So now we have mentioned the values in subclass square cabin. But to mention that, to specify that we have used only those values given in abstract variables, we use a keyword called as override. Override is to tell Kotlin that I am giving my values now in the subclass. So just add a keyword override followed by the property and the value of the property, and same for the capacity. So I have used the override keyword for specifying values here. And inside the main function, you can create an instance of the square cabin. So my square cabin is a variable, and I've created an instance of the class square cabin, and I've passed 8 as my number of residents. And now if I try to access the function has room, which is inside the dwelling class, and if I try to print the value of has room, and if I run this program, it shows you false, wood, and 6. So it shows you the value of building material inside the square cabin class and the capacity. And it has compared residence with capacity, that is 8 less than 6, and it gives you false. Just ignore the commented lines for now. So it has accessed, so even though has room function was inside the dwelling class, since we have used inheritance concept and we have inherited from the dwelling class, it was able to use the function has room, and it was able to print the value. Similarly, if you want to print the building material value, you just have to use the instance name dot building material and instance name dot capacity, and it will print the respective values. So we created another subclass. Now we have to create the subclass round hut.
Sneha, there's a question here. Johan asks that so basically we are just putting values later, and it's another way round to put values. We could have put values earlier too, right?
Uh, if you put the values inside the abstract class dwelling, all the subclasses, square cabin and round hut, everything will be taking the same value. But if you want to give a different value to each subclass, you have to make that property abstract and give the values in the respective subclasses.
Johan, is that clear, or you can maybe unmute yourself? Okay, yeah, he got it. Okay. Yes, now I can move on, I think.
Yeah. So we have finished creating one subclass. Now let's create another subclass, round hut. So you can see here, I'll just uncomment this. So I've created the round hut subclass, which again takes the same residence as the argument and passes it to dwelling class, just like the previous one. But you can see that here I've added an extra keyword called as open. So by default, all the classes except abstract classes are not inheritable. Only an abstract class is inheritable. If you want to make a class inheritable that is not an abstract class, you have to add the open keyword. Since we want a round hut to inherit to have a child class round tower, we have to make sure that the class is open. Earlier we had an abstract class, so there was no problem because Kotlin allows you to inherit from an abstract class. But if the class is not abstract, but still you want to inherit, then you have to add an open keyword here. So keep that in mind. And similarly, give the values for building material and capacity and add the override keyword. And let's create class round tower as well. So the class round tower will not take any open keyword because I don't want to create any child class for round tower. So leave it as it is. And you can see that it inherits from the round hut uh, class, and it takes residence as the argument, and it takes one more argument called as floors, because a round tower will have number of floors. So I'm giving a value to it already, a default value to it. And I specify the value for building material and the value for capacity and add the override keyword here. So we have created two all the subclasses we have created. This was our a square cabin, and this was my round hut and round tower. So now let's create their instances in the function main.
Abstract class is kind of a like a framework, right?
Yeah, it's a framework. Uh, its functionality is defined inside Kotlin, so just have to use the abstract keyword. So it just tells Kotlin that uh, to not to give any value to it, and value will be given at the end inside a
Yeah,
subclass.
like if we want to like use the same data, different data but of same kind, then we can use this, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, okay.
Yeah. So for round hut and round tower, we can create instances. So I've created instance for round hut and passed 5 as my number of residents. And same way, if I use the has room function and try to print its value, it will access it from the dwelling class because I've inherited it. So you can see the values here for the round hut and a round tower. And similarly for round tower, I create a instance and pass two arguments, one for residence and one for the number of floors. And I can access the has room function from dwelling class and access its building material capacity, and it will print its respective values here. So I think that's clear how to create classes and subclasses. So notice that we are using here square cabin, that is the name of the instance, again and again, like square cabin dot building material dot capacity. And if there are like multiple features, we have to repeat the name of the instance multiple times. So there's an easy way to do that. So using the with function will take the name of the name of the instance, class instance. So I just passed my class instance square cabin, round hut, and round tower, and inside it you can mention its properties and functions, and it will give you the same result. So pass the instance once and just use its properties to print the corresponding value. The capacity, building material, has room, and similarly for each of the different subclasses. If you run it, you'll get the same thing. So you can see here the capacity, material, and has room value has been printed for each of the subclass. So that's how you create classes and subclasses in Kotlin. So let's have a quick recap. So we created a class hierarchy, a tree of classes where children inherit from their parent classes, and properties and functions of these classes are inherited by subclasses. And then we create an abstract class where some functionality is left to be implemented by its subclasses. And an abstract class can therefore not be instantiated. That is, you cannot create an instance of an abstract class because it doesn't make any sense because there are no properties and functions defined yet. And then you can create subclasses of the abstract class, and we use the override keyword to override properties and functions in subclasses to give them values. And we use a super keyword to reference functions and properties in the parent class. This is when you have a function inside a parent class and you want to use the same function that has been defined in the abstract class, you will use a super keyword and make a class open so that it can be subclassed. That is, if a class is not abstract, then you have to use the open keyword, otherwise it will show an error. And you can make a property private so that it can only be accessed within that class. And we use the with construct to make multiple calls on the same object instance so that you don't have to repeat the instance name again and again. And this is Kotlin supports the mathematics library. So just use kotlin.math for any function that you want to use. Like kotlin.math.exponential function will give you exponential. So there are many functions in kotlin.math. So if you want your code to do a mathematical operation, you can use the kotlin.math library. So this was the basic recap about classes, subclasses, and inheritance. So let's get to making the tip calculator app. So you can see on the screen, this is the basic layout for the tip calculator app. So there are a number of views here. The first view is the edit text view. Edit text view is for entering and editing text. So you can see here there's a cost of service written. So here the user has to input the cost of the service. And text view is to display the text like the service question and tip amount. So like how was the service or here tip amount. So for that we use the text view. Then there's a radio button. Radio button is you would have seen this in Google Forms. Selectable radio button for each tip option for amazing or good or okay. And a radio group. Radio group is a group of radio buttons. So this whole three set of this radio buttons together forms the radio group. And then there's a switch option here. If you want to round up your tip or not. If you want to round up your tip, you have to switch this to the right, and if you don't want, to the left. So it's an on and off toggle for choosing whether to round up the tip or not. So this is the basic element inside the tip, and you have the calculate button here. If you click on calculate, it should show you the total amount. So that is a tip calculator app. So we'll be seeing this in the Android Studio, how it looks. So I'll walk you through the code I've written for the tip calculator app so that it becomes easy. So, I think you can see here the basic layout I made in Kotlin in Android Studio here. The cost of service, the how was the service text view, the radio group, the radio buttons, the switch option here, the button here, and the text view here. So this is the layout. Last time we dragged from here the palette here and then we pasted here and then we had to do the constraints. So that can get little tedious. So I'll show you the code behind this so that you can look into how the code actually looks and write the code and you can finish it off faster. rather than dragging, and you have to make sure the constraints also are proper. So you can use the this portion of the layout editor to edit your code. So you can see that there's an edit text here. I've added an edit text column here. So this whole thing from here to here, this whole thing corresponds to the edit text field. So there are number of properties for the edit text field, like ID, layout editor, layout width, layout height, hint, input type. So all these are just properties of the particular view. So first is the Android ID. So Android ID is like a reference or a resource element for the particular view. So if you want to access this view somewhere else in your Kotlin code, you need the ID of the particular view. So to mention and to specify the ID, we use the Android :ID functionality. So ID is like a unique resource name for the element. So when you add a view or any other resource with a layout editor, Android Studio automatically will assign a resource ID for that. And new view IDs in your XML file must be defined within with the plus ID prefix, which tells Android Studio to add that ID as a new resource ID. So whenever you have to add an ID, you need to put at plus ID slash the name of your ID. And then you can mention the width and height. Width is 160 dp and height is wrap content. Wrap content specifies that the view will cover the entire portion that you have defined within the width. And you can see Android hint. Hint is a value that will be printed on the edit text by default, so that the user comes to know what actually he or she is supposed to input. And there's a value called input type, like what type of input you expect the user to give. Is it numbers, or is it alphabet, or is it a character, or is it a string? So that comes into input type. And then you have to mention your constraints. So it is, you can see that the edit text is constrained to the parent layout. Parent layout is the outside portion of this. The blue part outside portion of the layout is the parent layout, and it should be constrained, should be attached to this. So you have to mention the constraints as parent in both of these columns. Then that is for edit text, and you have the text view. Next comes the text view. You can see how was the service is printed here. So how was the service is comes in a text view. And similarly, you have to give the ID here. Service question is my ID. I've given service question. Layout width is wrap content and height is also wrap content. You can give any value as you want. You can give your own value, be it 300, 500, any value you can give. And the text that comes in text view is text value. Android text is tells the user, tells Kotlin that you have to write the text as whatever mentioned here inside the quotes. And similarly, you have to constrain it. Here, the constraint to bottom of specifies that it should be in the bottom of the edit text field, edit text view. So that is text view. Then we have the radio group. Uh, Radio group is a set of these three radio buttons. And first you have to mention radio group, and then you have to mention radio buttons. So the radio group here, you can see that I have defined the ID as tip options, the width and the height. And then I have used a value called check button. This is which button should be checked by default. So you can see that I've created three radio buttons here. These radio buttons has different ID. The first ID is option 20%, option 18%, and option 15%. So I use this ID here, Android check button at option 20% means by default, the amazing ID should be checked by default when the user opens the app. And then the user has an option to choose any other option if he or she wants that. And I've mentioned the orientation and the constraints again, and to the bottom of add service question. So this is located to the bottom of the text view, so I mentioned its ID here. We can only mention IDs here. You cannot mention text view or any other name. You have to mention only the ID of the particular view. And then I have mentioned the three radio buttons that we have and the respective texts: amazing, good, and okay. And I close my radio button tag. So this finishes my radio button. You can add many more properties are there. There's a property for color. There's a property for text size. You can add those properties as you wish. You don't have to remember the syntax as it is because there's an autocomplete option here in Android Studio. You type Android colon and you'll get a list of properties that you want to customize and you can add those properties. Then comes the switch option. The switch here will have an ID, roundups, which is its name, the width, the height, and there's a value called as checked. That is, do you want it to be checked by default? If it's true, means it will be checked like this. Otherwise, it won't be. So that is your wish, and you can constrain it to the parent and to the bottom of the radio group. That is switch, and we have a button here called the calculate button. So that comes under the button view. It has a specific ID, the height, the width, and the text that you want it you want to show to the user, and the constraints. And then you have another text view for tip amount with the respective ID, width, height, and the text. And you can add the constraints here. So these five to six views are the ones which you will be inserting, and you can see that it becomes much more easy compared to dragging and putting, because constraints become a big problem when you have to drag to the layout editor. So mentioning constraints properly here will make sure that you write a code faster, and also you have a feel of how it actually implements it on screen. So we have implemented edit text, text view, radio group, switch, and button. So, but still, if you click on calculate button here, you won't be able to see anything because we haven't added the Kotlin code. So let's go to the Kotlin file here. So this is the Kotlin file, and we have to add the functionality in this file. So our code starts here. Till here it is inbuilt, and after that we have to write our code. So I'll just walk you through the code so that it becomes easy for you to understand. So I've created a calculate button variable, which is of type button, and it has to find its ID by the r.id method, like we did last time, Solar app. We have to first find out the ID of our respective view. So calculate button stores the ID of the button view. And there's an option called a set on click listener. That is, whenever the user clicks on button, it has to do some function. And that function is calculate tip. I'll be defining calculate tip later. This is the function for calculate tip. So when the user clicks on the button, the app has to calculate the tip, and its functionality is given here, fun calculate tip. So what I do is, whatever user types inside edit text, I find its ID, find view by ID, that is stored in string in text field. String in text field stores the ID of the edit text, and then cost string will convert this text to toString. That is, it first converts whatever is stored in edit text to string, and then store the float version of that string in cost. So basically, whatever you type in edit text, it is not for proper data type. So you have to convert into proper data type. So first I convert to toString, that is toString and stored in cost string, and use the cost string to convert it into a float variable, because my calculations will require that I have a float variable. To double is a function that converts to a float variable. So I have got my cost. Now I need to get my ID. I need to know what option the user has clicked on. So we go to the radio group view. So I find out the ID of the radio group. Val selected ID group is my name, and it is of type radio group, and it find its ID by using the find view by ID option, and pass in the ID. r.id.tip underscore options is my ID of radio group, and I use another variable selected ID to see which ID the user has selected. So the checked radio button ID will tell me which ID the user has selected from the selected ID group variable. So I pass that to selected ID. So I've got my ID which the user has selected, but I don't know what to do with that ID. So I create a when loop here. That is, whenever my selected ID is option 20%, I need to pass 0.2 to percent radio variable. If the selected ID is 18%, I need to pass 0.18 to my percent radio. And if 0.15, I need to pass it to my 0.15, then I have to pass it that to my percent radio. So percent radio will store the percentage of the cost which I want as a tip. So check radio button is a default function that will give me which option has been selected by the user. And now I've got the percentage in percent radio and the cost in cost. I just have to multiply both of them to get the tip. So my tip here is percent radio. Whichever is clicked, that will go to percent radio and multiply with cost here, which I created before. So I got my tip. Now I don't know if the user wants to round his or her tip or not. So we'll use the switch view here. So round tip switch type switch, and I find its ID. Once I found out the ID of the switch, I check if the switch is in the on condition or in the off condition. So I use a function called as isChecked. IsChecked will give me true if the switch is toggled in the on condition, and if it will give me false if the switch is in the off state. So that is stored in the roundup. So if it is on state, it will store true in roundup, and I pass that to an if loop. If roundup is true, my tip should be seal of tip. Seal is basically uh, the seal function. For example, if you have 3.23, it will round off to 4. So it will go to the next higher number. And we use a Kotlin.math function for that. I told you before, Kotlin.math to have number of functions inside. You have seal function, you have flow function, you have apps function, you have many functions. So I use this function if and only if I want to round up my tip. If I don't want it, this loop will not run. If I don't want my roundup to be roundup is false, this will not run. If roundup is true, only this will run. And then the last line you see here is the inbuilt Kotlin function to convert every number that you give to a standard currency. So if you want your tip to be in dollars, like dollar 9 point something, or if you want it to be in rupees, you have a different standard for different currency. So this will make sure that it will format your number according to the currency. Just have to pass the tip value here inside the format function. So that is how the functionality of this works. Try to run this in your phone. You can observe the functionality. And I hope that is clear how this tip calculator app works. This is the layout, and using the layout, you have created a Kotlin file here. Any questions, or should I proceed?
There aren't any questions in the chat yet, Sneha. So anyone, if you have any questions, you can unmute yourself and ask as well. So I think we can move on, maybe.
Yeah.
Hmm.
So that was about the tip calculator app. So before proceeding to the next part of this session, there are a few concepts that you need to know. That is about lists in Kotlin. So lists in Kotlin is basically a collection of items in a specific order. So like a list can contain different types of elements in it. So there are two types of lists in Kotlin: the read-only list and the mutable list. Read-only list, that is those lists which cannot be modified after you create it, and the mutable list is something which can be modified after created. That is, you can add or remove or update its elements later on. So these are the types of lists in Kotlin, and the syntax for lists is given here. So you have val numbers colon list int list of. So a list int will tell what type of values the list is going to hold. Numbers is the variable, and list of is the function which will tell you, or which will create the list. And this is optional if it's evident that type of if it is evident that all the values are going to be integer, you don't have to give list int. If it is not evident, you have to mention the type of data type that is going to be in the list. And it's not just int, string, boolean, it can be any class as well. If you created a class car, and if you can use list car to denote a list of car instances. So even class names can be included inside the list function here. Otherwise, you can just mention the name and the function list of. And indices start from 0, list of 0, list of 1, list of 2, always to access the elements of the list. And list dot first will give you the first element, and list dot last will give you the last element. I'll just show this to you on the Kotlin playground. So we can see val numbers is equal to list of, creates a list of integers, and I can display this number. I can display the list, and I can display its size. The first element is displayed as numbers of 0, and the second element is numbers of 1, and so on. Last index would be numbers dot size minus 1 would be the last element, and last index is numbers of size minus 1. The first element is numbers dot first function, and the last element is numbers dot last function. You can even reverse your list using the reversed function, and sort your list using sorted function. And there's a contains method as well. Suppose if you want to check if some value is present in a given list or not, you can use the contains method, and you can pass the respective element inside as argument. So you can see the output here. So it prints the list first, it prints the size of the list as 6, it prints the first element number of 0, which is 1, and the second element number of 1, which is 2. It prints the last index, which is 5, and the last element is 6 here. It prints that. And it numbers dot first will give the first element 1, numbers dot last will give the last element 6. It will reverse the list if you use the reversed function, and sort the list, which is already sorted here. And contains function will give you true. It will return a boolean value, true if it contains, and false if it doesn't contain. So that is the basics of list here. And there's something called as a mutable list. This is a read-only list. If you try to add a value using the add function, it will give you an error, because this list is not mutable. Mutable in the sense that you cannot add any more values to this given list. So this here shows you the mutable list concept. So instead of list of, you have to mention mutable list of, and pass the type, and you can leave the value inside the braces as it is. You don't have to add any value here now. If you want, you can add. Otherwise, there's an option to add the values later on as well using the add function here. So mutable list of will create an empty list here, and then you can use the add function. For example, this creates an entrees list, and entrees.add of noodles, and then you can if you print the entrees, you can see that it adds the value to the list. Add function will basically return a boolean value, and then if you print the list, it will print the value with the print the list with the added value. Similarly, you can add one more value, and then you can even add an entire list to an existing list. Suppose I create a list of items here, and I can use more items list inside the entrees list by using the add all function. Add all will add all the elements to the given entrees list, and then I can remove using the remove function. Remove of any value will remove that, and you can also mention the index. If you don't know the value but know the index of the particular value, you can use remove at function and pass the index, and you can print the value list, and you can check it. And the clear function is to clear all the elements of the list, and is empty function is to check if it's empty or not. So initially it creates a list. It adds two values here, noodles and spaghetti, and then it adds an entire list using the add all function, ravioli, lasagna, and fettuccine. And if you try to remove any value, it will give you true and it will remove it. And if the item doesn't exist, it will give you a false statement. And if you want to remove a particular indexed element, you can pass the index using remove at function, and you can clear the entire list using clear, and you can check if it's empty or not using is empty function. So that is about the mutable list. So basically, a scrollable list in Kotlin and Android Studio basically uses the concept of recycler view. So a recycler view is basically used to display scrollable list of text and images. So it uses the concept of lists to create a collection of items. So a layout instance will basically use a concept of recycler view. So you have to add this view to your layout editor, like a text view, like radio button. You have to add a recycler view. You have to mention all the properties like layout height, layout width, and then you have to add the list to access the respective image that you want. So you can see here in the image, a layout instance scrolls. You can place it in a queue and you can fill it with content and scrolls in again. So this is clearly mentioned in the respective pathway. So how to use recycler view and how to add a scrollable list. That is if you want a scrollable list in your app. If your app doesn't require any functionality, you can skip that. So this was all about the lists and mutable lists in Kotlin. Uh, Yeah, so this is to test yourself. So you're supposed to complete all the pathways of Unit 1 and Unit 2, and you have to earn your badges and share them on your profiles. You can earn your badges and share them on the profiles, and you have to create an app using the concepts learned so far. So the best app will be sent to Google Developers Group, and you also get a chance to be featured on the official Google Developers site. So try to create a unique app using the concepts learned so far, and you can create your app and upload on Google Drive with link access to all. So I'll be circulating a Google form with you all, and you can add your Drive link in there and try to submit it before 24 January. And I'll be sending out all those links. I've got a form to fill, so I'll send out those links. And if your app is really good, you'll get a chance to get featured on Google Developers site. And uh, so that was all about today's session. And with this, Android Study Jams comes to an end. So thank you all for coming. And if you have any doubts, you can ask.
At what time of like on 23rd do we need to submit, or 24th?
Yeah, 24th by 10.
Okay. Does like we can make any kind of app, right? Like it
Yeah,
has no tip or anything, like
no
something.
prerequisite. You can make any app as you wish. I'll be sending out all those links. So whichever is the best app, he or she will get to feature on the site. You can create any app you want. It's your own idea.
Okay.
Yes, guys, so you can put all that you learned to use here and make some nice apps. And if you have any doubt, you can always ask on the group or you can DM Sneha as well. Yeah, Johan.
Could you go back to the where we edited the list on the Kotlin playground?
Yeah, one second. This one.
No, the next one.
Yeah.
Yeah. So here, we are removing from here, but we can also do like take the entry from the user and then remove them and add them. Like we can do that, right?
Yeah, we can do that too.
Okay. And how do we create that list? That is the recyclers list that you just said.
Uh, a recycler is actually a view. It's like a text view or a edit text view. So just like you created edit text here, there's an option called as recycler view here. Just type in recycler view, and then you can add all of these properties here in a similar manner, and you can constrain it. And then you have to add your list inside the Kotlin file to refer to which images and text you want in your scrollable list. So that is mentioned in that website. You can go through that. It's a bit lengthy, so I'm just giving you an overview of how to create a recycler view. So just create exactly same like text view, create the recycler view and use the lists in your Kotlin file.
Okay, thank you.
Any more questions, guys? I think we can.
Like
Yeah.
after we have coded and stuff, where do we upload this app, or how do we show it, like how do I share it with others, like?
Just upload it on Google Drive and give your link access to everyone. That I can just uh, copy the link and paste it in the Google form.
Oh, okay.
Um, I think you meant like deploying it or something.
Uh,
No, mostly for this thing only, for
Okay, okay, okay.
just to submit it first.
Yeah, cool, cool, cool.
Yeah. Also, like, where do I do these pathways? I kind of forgot.
I've put up the Google Developers site link in the group description. Just go to that link and click on New to Programming track, and you can have all your pathways there.
Okay.
Okay, so I think we can close the session now. Any other doubts you guys can ask on the group. And I hope you had a nice time, got to learn a lot. So thank you everyone
This
for
group, is this
participation.
the Discord
Yeah.
group you're talking about?
No, this is the WhatsApp group of Android Study Jams.
Oh, can you please add me on that group, because I'm not on that group.
Okay, okay, okay. Cool. I'll add you.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. So I'll post the slides and recording of this session soon, so you can refer to it too. Uh, yeah, I think that's it from my end. Sneha, anything you would like to add?
Yeah, that's all. And I hope you had fun making Android apps. Yeah, that's all.
And anytime you have any doubt, anything, uh, then you can ask Neha. So even after the deadline, if you're attempting it and all, so you can ask her. So thank you guys. Thank you for joining. Thank you for your time.
What are
And
you going to do next?
sorry,
What are you going to do next?
what are we going to do next? So, there is no fixed plan yet for any event, but we would like to focus on the solution challenge next. So, I don't know if you guys attended yesterday's session. Like, I put up a mail about it. But even if you haven't, I'll soon put the resources on Discord. So it would be great if you participate in it because it's a great opportunity. It's like a hackathon. So it will be 3 months long hackathon where you can work on projects with your teammates. It will be fun and it will be really rewarding. So I'm looking forward to your participation there. Yep.
Okay, okay. Thank you. And thanks for the Android jams.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you. Uh, I'll stop recording.